welcome to The Drum Mission and another episode of What Makes That Drummer Great. I don't know why it reminds me of Wheel of Fortune. It just does. That saying that like that. Anyway, today's episode, we're going to make this a short one. Last week was a little bit long, and I apologize for that. The video did pretty good, though. And anyway, we're changing things up a little bit. We got the blinds behind me today and the tree next to me. We got some new equipment coming soon. We're going to up the channel a little bit. We're hitting 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to up this channel a little bit. Okay, so I hesitated about doing this on Jeff Porcaro. What makes that drummer great? Jeff Porcaro. I'm a fan of Jeff, and the reason I hesitated about doing this is because there's 19 gajillion videos on Jeff. And what was I gonna do that was different, or some kind of new thing, or a new twist that no one else has done? And I couldn't really think of anything except I'm gonna show one particular little solo he did that it's on a tune that I've not heard a lot of people talk about. You may know it. It's a Steely tune. He does a little 4-bar solo. We're going to play that. We're also going to talk about his beginnings, which you might or might not know about. And we're going to talk about a cheat he did in his signature, which I use and a lot of guys use, and it will help you. Okay, so let's start. Jeff was born on April 1st, 1954, to Joe and Eileen Porcaro. So let's talk a second about Joe Porcaro. Joe Porcaro was a jazz drummer. And he wasn't just playing at the local bar. He was playing gigs. He played with Stan Getz, Rosemary Clooney. Even a little bit later, he played with Felix Cavaliere from the Young Rascals. So he played with a lot of names. He didn't have quite the extensive career that Jeff had, but he was already in the industry. And I want you to, he also taught Jeff in the beginning. Jeff did study with other people later, but Joe was the one who initially began Jeff on his drumming career. Of course, he was his dad. So let's hear a little bit of Joe's playing. And this is just some big band stuff he did with Emil Richards that I found. Yes, I do research for this. And I want you to just hear some of the choices that Joe makes in his little I think they're like 2-bar solos that he does. It's like a call and response thing with the horns. So let's take a listen. You know, I'll probably get hit by a copyright thing about that, but I don't care. I wanted you to hear. You can hear in the choices, he's not running around the kid at 90 miles an hour. He's not doing Buddy Rich windmills and all that stuff, and that stuff is great, and we've talked about it on this channel, but he's doing very rhythmically singable stuff, which Jeff also did stuff that was like. I don't know if I said that right at all. Anyway, Jeff was also a very musical drummer, a very song drummer in the line of Ringo, and even Gadd, and for all of his chops, he's still a song drummer. So Jeff did have some chops, he did have some skills, but he was also a song drummer. So, and I don't know how this happened, but the very first tour, and this really starts off Jeff's career, he was 17. He was 17, folks, and he starts touring with Sonny and Cher. Sonny and Cher. Now, on the records, Jeff did not play on those records. On the records is mainly Hal Blaine. There might have been a few other guys, but it's mainly Hal Blaine. Hal Blaine did a lot of that kind of work for people like Sonny and Cher and Petula Clark and all that kind of stuff. Hal Blaine was that studio guy. But Hal did not tour that much, and Jeff did the touring with Sonny and Cher. So can you imagine? He actually dropped out of high school, went on the road. I would have too, man, if that happened with me. I don't think I was good enough for that kind of thing back then, but Jeff, because he was around, I believe this really helps him. So look, I don't want to get into this, but this is where, yes, you need to have the skills when the opportunity knocks. But it also helps to have a little luck for the opportunity to knock. So because his dad was already kind of an established drummer, Jeff was in that environment of professional players. His dad would take him on sessions. His dad would take him around. He would hear what it was like to play professionally. You know, he wasn't doing the garage band thing. So this is to Jeff's, this contributed to Jeff's excellence, because he saw what excellence was like. Where for the average guy picking up the sticks, he sees the guys around his neighborhood. But Jeff was seeing pros all the time. And that settles in. And who knows who he met with Sonny and Cher. Anyway, that begins him on his career into session work and things like that. So in the opening of this particular video, I played Jeff's signature beat, one he used in a lot of tunes, and the one that I was playing is the one that he played on I Keep Forgetting by Mike McDonald. So let's go to the drum lab and let's talk about that. And let's talk about the cheat. That tempo is about 98. It vacillates a little bit between 97 and about 100, but it's about there, around 98. I'm taking it at 98. I want 98 beats per minute. I want to show you if you're doing that. And before we go to the lab, let's go to a little clip of even Jeff saying that when he was recording that, he felt like his hands were going to fall off. So let's see that clip, go right to the drum lab, and I'll show you a cheat that Jeff uses in that tune, and every time he does that signature 16th notes with one hand, that was his signature. Jeff loved to play that.
I don't like playing 16ths with two hands sometimes, unless it's so fast that you can't do anything else, because it don't feel right to me. I used to watch, what's his name, man? James Gatson. James Gatson used to do all the Motown stuff, and then Ed Green, and all these guys were famous for their right hand doing 16ths. So when we started the tune, running it down, I'm going, yeah, okay, and I'm playing 16ths, and halfway through the first rundown, I'm going, oh man, what have I gotten myself into? It's like, I gotta use two hands. We did the second take, and the take that's on the record, I think it's after the second chorus, you hear me do an accent and a hi-hat. What happened was my stick broke on that take. And my stick, I threw my stick this way, and I'm just playing with my left hand and my left foot, and I'm just grabbing for a stick. And I hear the accent of the stick, and I grabbed it, I swing around like that, and you can hear that. And that was just where my arms were about to fall off.
All right. One-handed 16th notes. Now, I agree with Jeff. I don't like doing this either as much. You know, tempo is a big deciding factor on which I'm going to choose. But one-handed 16th notes, now I have a lot of videos on this channel on this technique. So before you can do what Jeff was talking about, you need to get this down. And I'm going to make sure this camera can see. It's a down-up. Some people call it the push-pull. Some people, it's a version of Moeller. So I think Jeff explains it a little bit differently. I hold this between my second finger, right? Not the thumb and my second finger. I use my index finger as a guide, and then I'm pushing down with my wrist. Stick comes up, And then as I come up, I get a second stroke. And if you want a more in-depth thing, I'm going to link, and I'll put a link in the description to my best video on that particular thing. But here we go. Now, truth be told in this is even when you're good at that, and I'm pretty good at it, Jeff was great at it. Once you get above 94, 95 beats a minute, and you got to keep it up for 4 or 5 minutes, it is hard. It is hard. On the Keep Forgetting groove that he was talking about in that little clip I showed you, the bass drum pattern is very easy. It's 1, 2, the 3, that's 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, and the second bar is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. Now, how does he cheat? Well, it's kind of obvious, and I'll show you a second way to cheat that makes it work when you're going at these quicker tempos. Even Jeff said his hands felt like they were going to fall off. The way to circumvent that is what Jeff does. Let's go slow, and I'll leave the cross stick out, and we'll just do this: 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E end. So he hits end, rests his hand for 1/16th note, comes back down on 1. I do that all the time. So let's do this again, slow. I'll show it to you with the bass drum. That's one way to cheat. Another way to cheat is add a ghost note. A lot of times I'll add a ghost note on the duh of 2 or the E of 3, and I'll rest my hi-hat hand. No one's going to hear it, no one's going to notice it, and it gives me a rest. So it's like this again in a slower tempo. I have this tuned up today. Okay, let me now play this for you at the 98 beats a minute and take you back to the rest of the show. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the reasons I wanted to show you that little cheat is to show you that even guys of Jeff's caliber, and I think Jeff did those one-handed 16th notes better than almost anyone, and yet he would have his hands cramping, and he found little cheats to do, just like you can find little cheats to do to keep your beats smooth and flowing. And this is what all the pros do, and this is why Jeff, from the get-go, was a pro. I know what you're waiting for. We're going to get to that beat. And I've done many videos on that. I'm just going to show you a clip from a previous video, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. Okay, but before we do that, again, he did a lot of session work. I'm going to, at the end of this video, you'll see a list of some of the session work that he did. Just some of it. And that list is exhaustive. I think, actually, historically, Hal Blaine did the most had the most recorded drum tracks out of anybody, and up there would certainly be Bernard Purdie, Steve Gadd. I don't know where Jeff would fit into that. Jeff did like to take time off to be with his family, which is important, and so I don't know. But Jeff did a lot. He did a lot. He played with a lot of people, But one of the things he did was play with Steely Dan. And one of my first introductions to Steely Dan was the album Katie Lied and Jeff Porcaro. So let's listen. You didn't hear Jeff do too much like straight ahead swing. And here is a 4-bar straight ahead swing solo. I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. I really like this. Just take a listen to Jeff doing this 3 swing for Steely Dan on a song called Your Gold Teeth Can Roll, Part 2, I believe. I don't know where Part 1 is, but it's Part 2. Jeff could swing. So here's my little bias. If you want to be a professional drummer, you need to learn to swing. And I've said this before in this channel, how do you learn to swing? You need to listen to guys who can swing. Let's go to the big elephant in the room. I've done many videos of this. I'm going to show you a clip from a previous video, just a small clip. Rosanna. Jeff fell in love with, he said, the Purdy Shuffle in Home at Last from Steely Dan, and of course the great John Bonham version of that in Fool in the Rain, and he was trying to combine the two, and he adds kind of a New Orleans version of Bo Diddley underneath that in his bass drum, and he comes up with this. 1, 2, 3. What makes that drummer great? What makes Jeff Porcaro great? Is it because he can do one-handed 16th notes at 98 beats a minute? A little bit. Is it because of the Rosanna Shuffle? A little bit. Is it because of his ability to swing? A little bit. But what's more is he had the necessary skills to do what fit the song and yet stay out of the way. And when we listen to him, we don't hear him doing just boom boom bop boom 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 bop boom 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 bop. And he's not a chopaholic. As a matter of fact, he turned down dates with Zappa. Listen.
Like a few times Zappa has called me to do sessions, and I've turned him down. And he thinks maybe I'm busy or something, but I'm just scared to death because I know guys like Vinny and Bozio and whatnot, and I've known them for years, and I've seen what they have to sight read. And Zappa would tear me apart. He'd get PO'd for me wasting his time if I did one of his sessions.
What made him great? He knew what he could do. He did what he did well, and he played for the song. He played for the song. If you do that, do you have to have every chop that Vinnie Colaiuta does? No. Would it be good to have? Sure. Can you be great without it? Yes. 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 All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Jeff, for what you gave us at the time that you were here on the planet. Thank you very much. All right. Thanks for watching, folks. See you on the next one.